I'm not even going to lie to you. This is like the fifth or sixth attempt at filming this video segment because I can't get it right. I want y'all to have nice, polished content. So that way you have something to sit down and enjoy. But I'm going to be honest, I'm struggling with this one today. I don't know why, but let's proceed with the video, shall we? What's going on, YouTube? Hope you're doing well. Champion Productions here. And today I've got another Transformer Tuesday, the second installment of Transformers Tuesday, here for you guys to watch. If you don't know what Transformers Tuesday is, basically at the beginning of each week, every Tuesday, I do a Transformer review. Shortly after that review is posted, I do a YouTube poll with a list of figures that y'all can kind of select for next week's video. And this week, y'all voted you wanted to see Dark of the Moon Sentinel Prime. Now, this is the Voyager version that came out in 2011, and I gotta say, this is a pretty unique figure. Definitely not flawless, especially by comparison of the newer Studio Series variant, but still a fun figure to have nonetheless. I really want to hunt down the leader class version of Dark of the Moon Sentinel Prime, but this guy's pretty unique. One of the big gimmicks back then was mech tech, which, as you can see here, this whole water hose assembly is quite intrusive, you might could say, but the main reason that is because mech tech was basically an ability for the Transformers weapons to kind of automorph into different variants of weapons, or in this case, go from a water hose to a giant cannon. You can lock this into place, kind of just twist that knob, and now you have a fire truck with a massive artillery cannon. So that's a pretty neat concept. A lot of the figures back then came with these. If I bring in, I have the original Dark of the Moon Deluxe Class Optimus. He comes with this little blaster here. If you pull back on the scope, it turns into like a little battle axe, which is pretty cool. Wish there was a way to lock it into place, but there's not. But you can see student in the teacher in the film. Also, backstabber and the main hero, killer, bad guy. I don't know. I really don't know. It was a cool concept though. Like, let's be honest, to have two primes in one movie and one of them actually be the antagonist here, Sentinel, really unique concept. And I think they did a good job highlighting this idea on this figure, because if you look at the back of the fire truck mode, you can actually see the Autobot insignia scratched out on both sides. Just a little nudge to his betrayal to the Autobots. Obviously something that wasn't really realized on the silver screen. I just think it's a cool detail on the actual action figure, which, you know, like I said, didn't really happen, but it's cool to see nonetheless. The overall fire truck itself is done really nicely. You can take the giant mech tech weapon off. You have to remove it for, well, I shouldn't say you have to remove it for the transformation, but it helps. So you get a more clean looking fire truck. But kind of just looking at the rest of the details here, 316, you get the brand logo for the fire truck, fire rescue, obviously the Autobot insignia. You get some details here at the back which aren't really painted, and you get some stuff here up top. You do have these translucent windshields and whatnot, which I'm not really a fan of. I think it could have used a darker form of plastic for the coloring, but oh well. You got a little light bar on top. He rolls fairly fine, but these wheels up front, you kind of have to adjust, because otherwise he'll either bail left or bail right, and that's due to the transformation. Which, speaking of which, I think we've talked about the alt mode here quite enough, so let's just go ahead and dive into it, shall we? Now, the transformation for this guy was definitely not overly complex. It is more, not shell former-ish, but it's not really all that in depth. There's not a whole lot of ingenuity behind it. But I do like this little detail right here. Make sure my camera's staying on the figure. I do like the little detail of how the wheels end up being on the sides of his, like, kind of rib cage, if that makes any sense, like they did in the movie. I think that's a very nice, accurate little detail, but kind of transforming the rest of the figure, it's not overly complex. It's really just flipping stuff and folding stuff out and, you know, kind of just straightening the figure out for his robot mode. Tab that in, and then focus on the legs for a minute. And here, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Dark of the Moon Voyager class Sentinel Prime. Now, you can't tell me Hasbro didn't get the CGI design for this character, and Michael Bay was like, hey, make this into an action figure. And they were like, I don't know, here. And this is what we are left with. The leader class figure is fantastic from everything I've seen. I want to try to get it at some point. Don't know when, but I'm going to try to find it. But the Voyager, he be special, all right? So the robot mode here, obviously, for the most part, looks really good. Now, because this figure's transformation is so Shellformer-like, a majority of the truck mode just ends up on his back. And so Hasbro tried to make this look like his cape from the film. And as you can see, you got some nice silver paint here. They didn't bother to paint this back here. All of this is just unpainted gray plastic. But they did paint this silver, so it's all good to go. You know, we got the little split here signifying that these are two separate halves of the cape. So, you know, we're all good to go, right? Right? This is not one uniform piece. It is two separate cape pieces, given the info by the split here. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Hasbro had a hard time with that design because Michael Bay's designs for figures and for characters are very humanoid by nature, which makes a great looking presentation on screen, but gives Hasbro a fit to make it a transformable action figure. But, you know, talking about the entirety of the figure here, for the most part, it's been detailed very well. Hasbro tried to replicate the one wheel being on the inside of the knee, but you can blatantly see the other wheel, even though they're like, we'll use this panel to cover it up. You can see it clear as day right here, but obviously not bad. You got some silver paint details in there. You got some highlights, and then for the chest, we can see, even though it's a faux windshield and everything there at the top because the windshield somehow transforms and sits on his chest, we can see, even though, you know, it's all fake, it's been nicely painted and everything else. No real paint on the forearms or anything. A little bit of paint there at the top of the shoulders. And the head sculpt is something different. The head sculpt is something different. It's been painted nicely. It's got some different shades. It's got a couple different shades of red and some silver in there. But for the love of my life, I cannot figure out why on earth they gave him white, squinty eyes. I really can't. It does not look like him. It does not look like him. They captured the very old robot look in the face, but the eyes are just not there. But, you know, good news is you can give him his blaster. Have him hold that Joker. You can have him hold it in water cannon mode or in blast you into next week cannon mode, which, be honest with you, looks alright. Doesn't really, I think, suit the character too terribly much. I think Hasbro would have been better off making the swords for him, but oh well. I'm assuming this is meant to be his shotgun that he used against Ironhide. That little rust cannon that caused Ironhide to fall apart on scene. I'm assuming that's what that's supposed to be, but I don't even think Hasbro knew. So, you know, articulation's okay. Head swivel side to side. You kind of do get 360 rotation here at the shoulder, but I don't know if it's intentional, because like this arm right here, if you listen, kind of has like a little bit of a pop to it. Maybe it's just stiff. We'll pass that off as a 360, right? Yeah. Anyway, bicep rotation. You got elbow bend. Legs are a little bit more hindered. You got forwards movement, not a whole lot of back movement due to the cape, and then a little bit of outward. You kind of got to watch this wheel up here because it ends up grinding against it. You got knee swivel, knee bend, and then like an ankle tilt forward, but that's about it really. So, I mean, posing this guy is doable, but you really have to watch out for the ginormous cape. Yeah, you can see I'm trying. Use that little bit of ankle tilt, and there you go. There you go. You know what? Thumbnail material right there. Look at him being all evil and Prime-like. Yeah. But, you know, it's an okay figure, quite frankly. You know, It's one of those things where I genuinely do feel like the designers of the figure were given the CGI render of Sentinel Prime, given a certain amount of time to make that design a toy, and they're like, this is all I got, Chief. I don't know what else to tell you. This is all we got. And they're like, you know what, we'll take it. And so this is what we got. But anyway, that kind of concludes my review of Sentinel Prime from Dark of the Moon. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. Comment what you thought of this figure down in the comment section below. And be sure to look out for the poll for next week's review. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video. I accidentally just hit my ring light. And be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos from my channel. That's all from me, Champion Productions, signing off.